So they really had to see you do the work.
Yes. Yeah. There's a quote. I think I hope I say it right. Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I think that's the quote, right? And then they start showing up for you because they know you care.
You have these quotes. I remember watching your speech, teachers matter, it's not how far you come, it's about your future. You've got all of these little slogans that you use. But now you're going to get $1 million to turn those slogans into life-changing moments for these
Actions, yeah.
kids. What are you going to do with that money for the kids in the classroom, the kids within your organization, US Elite? What exactly are you going to do with it?
So, I'm really hoping to use the funds to really expand my platform for my students in my classroom, and also for through my organization. My organization is not, I think a lot of what I do with my organization helps students across the globe. And I think that's what's so important, is that when you're thinking about changing the landscape of education for kids who are low income, or to create a level playing field, you can't just say, I'm going to do it for the kids in my classroom. It's straight across the globe, because that's one commonalities that most students across the globe experience, and is inequity in education. And no one person is going to solve it, and the problem is not going to be solved in the classroom. We have to go out there in the field, in the community, across the globe, and collaborate with each other. So that's what I'm really hoping to do, is that to use that platform to really create opportunities for my students to be able to access the higher level education, because I don't think that any student who wants to be able to move forward should be restricted in any way, and inequities should definitely not play a part in that.
Well, let's talk about inequities in education and getting them to higher education. Let's talk about your background real quick. What did attending an HBCU, Howard University,
Yes.
what did that do for you?
When I was in high school, I wasn't, college wasn't on the top of my list. I'm from a poor background. And for me, I'm just thinking about graduating high school, finding a job, and in Jamaica, that's a life-changing moment for you if you graduate high school and you can find a job, because, they don't have too many tertiary level education institution there. And so when you have all of these students who are graduating from high school, and especially from those from the low income background who are unable to actually fund that level of education, you are at a disadvantage, right? And so for me, the opportunity to access an education here in the US through a track scholarship was a dream for me. And whether I'm going to an HBCU, or whether I'm just thinking about, I'm getting a college education. I didn't know what HBCU mean. I didn't know what predominantly white institution means. I didn't know I just knew what education meant. Education is the key to success, right? That's what they all tell us, right? That replayed in my mind. So at the end of the day, I didn't even care where I went. I just knew that wherever I'm going to be able to access an education debt-free, that's where I'm going. And I know that, and I've learned the transformative power of education from an early age, that was plugged into me by my grandmother. And so for me, that value stayed with me wherever, even if I went to a Division 3, even if it didn't matter. I just knew that this step was such a great step that it didn't matter where I went. All that happened, all that mattered to me was what I was going to achieve at the end, which was a higher level degree. But at the end, understanding the rich culture and heritage, and the history and the powerful history of Howard University really, for me, made me feel proud of being a Black woman in America. And just as I start understanding more about the African American culture, more about my identity, and the labels, the identity labels that they put on me here as a Black woman in America, and understanding how powerful going to Howard University means as a part of my identity. And those powerful and successful people who have gone before me, and the pathway that they have led for myself and others to be successful in our different professional areas. For me, that was life changing as well. And I really make sure that I use that opportunity as much as possible and carry the bison. Of course, I run track, so I'm definitely here for the what you call it, the public spirit, and wearing that I'm wearing the bison proud.
There's such a long list of legends that have come from Howard University who are Howard Bison. But I think you're joining that list now, and you have something.
And I'm proud to, and I'm proud to.
You were also an athlete there. I ran a little 400 back in my day as well, not at the college level, but the 400 is the best race, right? You have to put everything into it. You have to put your
try running it over hurdles.
And you're running over hurdles when you're jumping 4 feet in the air. They don't know about that struggle.
Yes, and exactly. And that sounds like my life all over.
Yeah, just hurdles, but you keep getting over, right?
Exactly.
Until the end of the race.
Yes.
I just want to ask you, where does that drive and that will, just like you're on the track and the field, come from to continue to show up for your students?
Like you said, it's like hurdles. Every time you get over one, it reminds you that there's another one that's coming and you have to be prepared. And so for me, I don't just look at life in the moment. I enjoy the moment, but I constantly look towards the future. What does my future look like? How do I want to leave an impact? How do I want to leave a legacy? I remember the first coach who ever saw something in me, John Messam, he said to me, and I always remember to this day, wherever you go, leave a legacy. And for me, being a teacher is to leave a legacy of education. So I want to make sure that I create that for my students. I want to be someone who represents them so well, someone who have overcome, who they've seen, they know my story, because they always say, people see your glory, but they don't know your story. And so it's so important to not hold on to your story in shame or be censored or not let people judge you by your story, but use your story to empower others. Use it to inspire others. And so for me, a lot of years ago, I allowed people to use my story and to tell my story, or when I tell them my story, use it to judge me. And so, especially this platform that I have and given by the Varkey Foundation that really spotlight teachers' stories, I'm able to use that to empower not just my community of teachers to keep going, but students across the world see that, teachers are out there on the front line, really working hard for them. Teachers have gone through some of the same issues that they have jumped over hurdles and have made it to the finish line. And that reminds them that, there's a finish line there for them too, and we're here to help them get there. And so I just want to use my story to really empower theirs and let them know that they have a story to tell as well, and to use their story and just continue over generations to just pass that down and pass on that back, the baton, to use education to inspire each generation to come.
Keep passing that baton. They know your glory, but they don't know your story.
Yes.
You should have been a poet.
I write a little something on the side.
Oh, okay. Varkey Foundation. We might have found us one. The Global Teacher Prize winner for 2021. My very special guest, Miss Keishia Thorpe, right here in Prince George's County, Bladensburg, Maryland. Thank you so much, the Howard University alum, for coming and speaking with me today. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to leave me with? Just want to tell all teachers, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And sometimes a lot of teachers are going through burnout, and it's hard to inspire teachers these days. And it's hard to retain teachers, especially teachers of color. And so I just want to inspire you and just leave this message for you. Just keep going. Every day is going to be a hurdle, but you never get to the finish line unless you jump. And we have to keep jumping.
And every hurdle we jump is a win for our student. So just remember that every hurdle we jump is a win for a student. Every door we open, we give them access. And so we just have to continue to learn how to persevere for them, because education is the only thing that's going to transform our communities. If we don't have education, there's no progress. And so we need to make sure that we have continued progress, because that's the only way we're also going to really disrupt the cycle and change the cycle of generational poverty. And so in order for progress to happen, we have to continue to pass on the baton of education and leave that legacy.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thorpe, for those impassioned words and your empowering message for everyone, and so very well deserved on the award. I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your time.